Welcome back and happy Tuesday. This week we are coming to you with another interesting topic, especially I'm very excited because it's not the usual financial service lens. We're going to be talking about the future of food and sustainability. I know through everything that's going on, I'm always looking at new ways to think about the future of food and agriculture. There's a lot at play here. So I have a very special guest in Alex Borshow, who is a managing partner and co-founder of Samiero Ventures. Alex, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Scarlett, for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just start off, introduce, who you are and who is Samiero Ventures.
Sure. So Samiero Ventures is an early and growth stage venture capital and private equity fund based in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And we invest in companies in the food, beverage, ag tech, and agribusiness space. We look for companies primarily in Puerto Rico, but also outside of Puerto Rico that are focused on bringing better for you products, authentic cultural flavors and foods. From Puerto Rico, we look for companies that are doing import substitution as well as export potential.
Awesome. So I've been reading, even though my purview is typically financial services, I love to think about the future of tech in general. So I've certainly been reading, and I have some friends who are in kind of the ag tech, food tech space. So can you just give us a kind of high level of the journey of where has food gone? Where is it going? What does the future of food look like from you and your lens?
Great question. So if we think about food, there's been a couple of big trends that have accelerated over the last 9 months with the COVID pandemic. One is how we procure our food. With people stuck at home, the adoption and acceleration of e-commerce for food, direct to consumer for food, has been huge. We've seen the same growth over the last 9 months as we've seen over the last 10 years in terms of adoption of e-commerce for food. And, we're not just talking about, shelf-stable goods, but we're talking about fresh produce, fish, eggs, meat, dairy. That has been incredible to see. And on top of that, a very interesting trend has been the increased adoption and willingness to try things like plant-based alternatives to meat. We've seen a 43% increase in consumers and households willing to try plant-based alternatives. That is the result of more than a decade of technology that has advanced the flavor profile, the mouthfeel, the texture, the form factor of things like plant-based burgers or sausages or patties or crumbles, so that it's not the same, cardboard tasting veggie burger that was frozen that you might have tried 10 years ago. Now it's actually tastes good. It tastes like the real thing. It feels like the real thing. And that's been a really interesting trend accelerated by technology.
Yeah, it is all these Beyond Meat type things that you're seeing everywhere it's crazy, especially living somewhere like I do in New York. I mean, with COVID, everything is a bit different, but I have not seen so many restaurants focusing on that, like over the last, like you said, number of months, even a little bit before COVID. It's certainly something that's having a big impact here. So as a Puerto Rican, and being that, Samiero Ventures is based in Puerto Rico, what role or importance, does this food and the future of food play in somewhere like Puerto Rico?
Yeah, so another trend that we've seen, not just in Puerto Rico, but in the US and countries around the world, is consumers are really demanding transparency about their food. They want to know what the ingredients in the food are and where they come from. And when you talk about where they come from, people are looking for more and more local food. The demand for local has actually outstripped the demand for organic food. So it's a trend that's here to stay. And when we think about Puerto Rico, we currently import 85, almost 90% of everything we consume, but there's huge demand for local product. Now, what we look for is partnering with entrepreneurs who have the vision and the understanding of how to bring a sophisticated, modern, efficient food company in Puerto Rico. And that means that could be from prime production of using greenhouses and technology to better produce leafy greens, or it could be adopting e-commerce so that smaller and medium producers in Puerto Rico can actually gain access to consumers who purchase food through an app. You see grocery stores adopting delivery for the first time in Puerto Rico. So what we're looking for really is, how do you bring that global demand, that global trend of demand for local, transparent, more sustainable food by producing and supporting more local producers? So that's where we're really positioned in Puerto Rico. And we think that not only is it about consuming more local, but we're seeing the demand for authentic cultural flavors and foods creep across all of the US, we see that there's actually a very heterogeneous, diverse demographic of Latinos in the US. And they also want to have their authentic cultural flavors and foods. And how they get those foods, be it ordering from a website or having an app that they can order it from, that's a really interesting market that is underserved and we're looking to invest into.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Alex. It's so, one of the things that I love about Tech Tuesday and having different voices and perspectives like yours is you talked about authenticity and transparency and the impact of tech and the role of tech to really move those things forward. And both of those things are absolutely happening here in financial services as well, where consumers are demanding transparency. They want to know where, how you're using their data, how you're using that to make better financial decisions. So ignore the background noise. The gardeners are here, but thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. And until next week, for all of you, you can see more about Alex's background, hear more about what Samyara Ventures is doing. Look at the link below. And if you have questions, you can reach out to Alex directly. His contact information will be on there. Thank you again. And until next week.
Thank you.